This is ElvenShadow, tournament organizer and Guilty Gear player, and these are the matches that made me. So I actually first discovered Guilty Gear, I think it was my senior year of high school. There was a local game store, local import game store, and they had like, set up like on a TV, you could just go and try out featured games that they have sometimes. And they had Guilty Gear X for the Sega Dreamcast. First time I ever seen the series or the game, and I tried it out and instantly just fell in love with the game. The character design, the gameplay, and the heavy metal soundtrack, like everything just clicked with me right away, and I instantly bought it right there on the spot. So I started playing it just kind of on my own, a little bit with some friends casually. There wasn't really a tournament scene at the time, and I started the game out as a chip player and a Amelia player for a little bit, and then for years I didn't really play it again much after that. But then in college, in 2002, at UIC, there was a bowling alley that had an arcade, and a lot of us would play Marvel vs. Capcom 1 because there was a cabinet, and they had some other games like Tekken 5 and whatever. And one day they renovated the bowling alley. So all the games we would play, like between classes, we couldn't play anymore. So we were just looking at each other like, what do we do now? And one of the guys is like, hey, I got this new game, Guilty Gear XX for PlayStation 2. And it just had come out. And I'm like, hey, I live in the dorms, it's connected to this building. There's a lounge upstairs, I can get us in there and we can just use the TV and we can just set it up. And from then on, there was a big group of us, I don't know, like 15 people or something that would just, every day I'd open that lounge for them. They'd set it up, and then throughout the day, there would always be someone in there holding it down. Throughout the day, you could just go in the lounge and you could just play between classes, and we'd always have games running like all day. From then on, I just played the game seriously. We found tournaments, we found other players in other areas of the local scene, and things just went from there, so. When XX came out, for about the first, I don't want to say like 2 weeks, I was playing Millie as my main. And Millie's fine and all, but then, I don't know, I just started looking at the rest of the cast members that I didn't mess with, and I looked at Fouts, and I'm like, this guy looks pretty cool. I like his design, the bag and all that, and he has a cool design. But when I picked him and I tried out his buttons, I'm like, jump H, like far slash, I'm like, these long pokes, I loved it. And not only that, but then I learned about tech on like YouTube about his FDC cancels and how you can mix up and rush down really effectively. And I like rushing down. The fact that I started out with Milia would suggest that, but then when I realized he could zone and rush down, that combined with just his design and most of all the random items. I love the random items. I love gambling. I don't know, it's like a thrill. Just, you never know what's gonna come out. You toss an item and then you just roll with it. It's exciting, it's fun. It always keeps it fresh. So the general feeling of the character, I never went back. I never considered maining another character again in Guilty Gear. So basically, Guilty Gear was a main game at EVO since 2003, and that was my very first EVO, and I went to, I think, all of them up until that point. The game was big, Action Core was popular at the time, and a lot of players were still hungry to play it. So we were, a little sad that it wasn't gonna be a main game, but thankfully EVO staff let us run a community tournament for it. I think we ended up getting just a small amount of space, and the whole tournament was running like 3 CRTs. And so it lasted like all day. It ran pretty late, but we did get through it. And then in 2007, around like about a month before EVO, I moved to Japan. And that's why I couldn't go to 2007 EVO, because I just had gotten to Japan. I'm not gonna be able to just go back to America for a month after I just arrived. I couldn't afford it, didn't have the time off work. When I was in college at UIC, I took Japanese language classes. And I found out about the JET program. So it's a Japanese English teaching program where you teach English in public schools. And I worked at elementary and junior high schools in Gunma Prefecture, which is a more rural countryside area, but not that far from Tokyo, like a 3-hour train ride from the town I lived in. I pretty much just enjoyed quiet life during the week, but then every weekend without fail, unless there was something that came up, I generally would always go to Tokyo. And I would just try and play as much as possible. I would play it, like the big arcades at the time were like Las Vegas and Shinjuku Sportsland and Club Sega Akihabara, and then eventually Mikado down the line. And I would just play till arcades closed, hit up the rock bars until they closed, and then that would maximize my time. Like I would go sleep at the internet cafes, the manga kisas, and then you could just check into there at like 5, 6 in the morning. You buy like an 8-hour package, sleep, take a shower there, wake up, and then by the time I'd wake up around 10, noon in the morning, like that's when the arcade's open again. So I would be maximizing my time playing there, and I would just get in there and just try and play as many matches all day as I could, stop, get some food, go back, and just play till closing, and then repeat, do it again till the last train on Sunday. And my goal was just to get as good as possible, learn as much as I can about matchups, and just improve myself as a player. I mean, that's like the promised land of Guilty Gear, especially that time. It's like all the top talent is like gathering in one spot. Like all the Kanto region players would meet up at those arcades. So like that, if you wanted to get good, that was the spot. And so that meant a lot to me to try and go to Evo that year to really show how much I've improved and to kind of prove to myself that I've made a lot of improvement. So I don't remember if I had played Latif prior to this. A lot of people were hyping Latif up as one of the favorites to win. Obviously a very strong player. Going into the tournament, I knew he was going to be one of the people I had to beat if I wanted to win it. I knew I wasn't going to win this tournament without going through Latif. I think one of the main reasons why, one of the main reasons I picked this match is because, well, for one, there wasn't a lot of footage of this tournament. I think I couldn't really find any other of my matches from it. Someone just happened to shaky cam this match. And the reason why is because, people knew that I was a favorite to win as well, having come from Japan, having had really good results before I moved to Japan as well. So the first match, it was pretty close the whole time. But I did lose game 1, and then in game 2, I made some good adjustments. I did take both rounds. Well, in that match, I was really good about watching out for drills and being patient with just my positioning, not getting locked down, not running into them. Just a lot of patience and neutral, which helped. But then at the end, I remember it closed out with Eddie flying above me, and I'm on pogo stance, and he gets too close, and I do the head flower and kill him, which was a great way to end it because I barely had any health left too. So I clutched that out to tie it up. And then game 3 goes down to last round. I'm down. I'm about to lose, and Latif gets me in a combo, but he goes for a combo that was out of range. So he tried to pick me up in the air where he's on the ground, and he throws out 5P, and he's out of range for it, it whips. So I'm able to tech out and escape, and then eventually I am able to get in and I do a FDC cross-up. So Faust has a cross-up where he does FDC cancel dust, and it's an ambiguous cross-up, and I hit him with it. You can cancel that into going my way. And when going my way lands, the landing recovery makes it so that it's unburstable. That's a matchup knowledge thing. I think either Latif didn't know or he just panic bursted because he bursted that and I was able to block it. It's a safe setup. And so once he blocked it, I punished with the air combo, and the very last hit was just enough to close out the match and win. And I had like almost no health left. And people were just flipping out, like going crazy. It was just a really hype moment, and it was really exciting. I was just really happy to have gotten through that one because of how close it was and how challenging it was. And Latif is obviously a very talented player, very good fundamental, better fundamentals than me for sure. Like, I mean, you look at the history of other games he's played and how successful he's been with Street Fighter and how successful he's been with Guilty Gear Strive. And so, it's just being able to beat him meant a lot. I mean, at the time, obviously, like the following year, actually, we had a rematch at Evo again, and we were in the same pool. He won the run back that time, and he ended up winning the whole tournament. And that's fine, he earned it. And but at that time in the 2008 tournament, like, I mean, it was just a good moment for me. So I still, even though he got me the next time, I still hold that as like a good accomplishment for myself. And the fact that I was just able to come back from Japan and win that big tournament and just show that my practice had paid off, it meant a lot to me.
I ask you this, what does Bozak gotta do in comeback 6 games? What does he have to do here?
I had mentioned previously that I used to have like the lounge in the dorms, and I used to we used to play a lot of Guilty Gear up there. And I actually ran a few tournaments out of that as well for Guilty Gear. So I had some prior experience running tournaments. I also helped out with some Nickel City events like Midwest Challenge and things like that back in the day. But when I moved to Japan, you know, I would always come home every year during the winter holiday season to visit my family and my friends and all that. The very first year I came back, which was, you know, the end of 2007, beginning of 2008, I came back and I saw some people, but there was no tournaments going on. There was no events. So I was really sad that there was just nowhere to really play except for like some small house gatherings. And so I really wanted to have that experience again, especially after going to Evo the following summer. That reinforced that feeling. I wanted to be able to go back and play a big tournament with everybody. So I decided that I would make my own. And I just started planning it with the people back in Chicago over the SRK forums and Dust Loop forums, and we just organized it through the internet. And I found a venue, and it was just a small hotel that let us use like a conference room space. And the very first Frosty Faustings was not a huge event. It was like 100 players over like the whole tournament. The whole event was like 100 people. And we ran, I don't know, like 8 games or something. And of course, you know, the main thing was Guilty Gear. So we had Accent Core. And yeah, I mean, it was a success overall, and I just kept doing it every year. I just would always come to visit, and I just kept running it back, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and I had to find new venues as time went on, and more people to help out. But you know, that's pretty much why I started it, because I wanted to compete, because I wanted to play so badly, and I was happy to also just see other people have a good time and enjoy it. So. I mean, that's pretty much my motivation for why I started it. So I moved back to the States in 2014, late 2014. It was like, I think late October or November of 2014. So I was there for a whole 7 years. And obviously Frosty's in January. So 2015, January was Frosty 7. So I had been in the States a few months between then, and that's one of the reasons why 7 was able to be a lot bigger of an event in terms of production. You know, I had teamed up with a lot more people that, as you know, main organizers that weren't as involved prior to that, and the fact that Guilty Gear Xrd had just come out. There was a renewed interest in Guilty Gear, which got a lot of new players to come to the event. So we were in a new hotel. And it was a record attendance by far. It's really difficult to balance work as a tournament organizer and try to compete at your highest level. In the early days, it wasn't as bad because, you know, there wasn't like streams back then, and you didn't have to worry about hiring as much staff, and things were a lot more casual. And so the planning process wasn't as time consuming. You had more time to practice. And running it itself also was less challenging because there's a lot less involved. There's not sponsors, there's not all kinds of positions you need to hire for. And so I was able to focus back in those days a lot easier. I actually did end up winning the first 5 Frosty Faustings for Guilty Gear. But as time goes on and as the tournament gets bigger, and especially nowadays, it's really hard because I find it really difficult to find the time to practice before the event, leading up to it, months before the event. It's really hard to find any practice time. But then at the event itself, there's so many things that an event organizer has to deal with that mentally you're not really focusing on preparing yourself for the matches coming up. Even when you're playing, it's sometimes hard to get out of your mind some of the things you have to think about for what's going on in the event itself. Yeah, as time goes on, it's harder for me to play at my best, and I even find that I have much better results at events that aren't mine. And that's okay, because even though I started the event to compete, I mean, I'm just happy that it's successful and I'm giving so many other people an opportunity to compete. So even if I don't do as good as I used to maybe at some Frosty Faustings these days, I don't take it too hard on myself because I know what kind of environment it is and what's on the line and what my responsibilities are. And there's plenty of other events throughout the year. And I really thank all the other tournament organizers who put in the time to run those events so that I can go to those and have a good time and just focus on playing and chilling. So. For a long time, you know, like 5 years of my time in Japan, I played Accent Core because for a while, Arc System Works didn't make any new Guilty Gears. And then they announced Plus R, which was really exciting. And I really liked it, and I played it for about a year, but then Plus R wasn't out for a very long time until they announced Exert. And I remember when they first revealed it, and I was there live in the big auditorium, and they had it on the big screen, and I just lost it. I was like, no way. Like, it was one of the best memories for me, just like, because I had no idea it was coming. And when they showed that first trailer with Soul vs. Kai, and you see the camera spin, the energy in that auditorium was insane. Everyone was just losing it. It was so awesome. So when they had the first location tests, I went to all of them in Tokyo. I tried the game out like right away, and then as soon as it released in arcades, because for a while I would stop going to Japan or going to Tokyo every weekend, slowing down maybe a little bit with the grind. But when Exert came out, like, man, I was back on it, and I was just trying to play as much as I could. I think my initial impression was very positive. The bones of the game felt still like the classic Guilty Gear. It was very much designed based off of Reload, actually. So you could feel like the movement felt the same and everything. Like, sure, there was a lot of differences that were a little polarizing. Some people didn't like the YRC system. Some people didn't like the slowdown from Roman cancels in general. A lot of people didn't like Danger Time, understandably. Overall, I liked the game. I thought the new characters were cool. I really liked how Fouts played in it. Release came out about a month before Frosty 7, so I had a little less than a year head start. So that was good. That was a good advantage for me. Yeah.
Make Bananaken prove he can beat you on defense. Make him prove he can block what you have. I think that's how Bozak can win this set.
Has to respect.
I did not have any personal or tournament history with Bananaken, and this is why things went down the way they did. So Bananaken was known as a very strong player. Mostly back then, he was known for being a top Persona player. He even won Persona that year at Frosty. He's known for having a really strong Shadow Labris. He's also very good at Street Fighter. People probably know him from having a very strong JP right now in Street Fighter 6. Also very good Kokonoe and Blaze Blue. So, we all knew Bananaken was a strong player, but he never really played Guilty Gear up until then. At least I couldn't find any records of it. And so when we seeded the tournament, he was not seeded. The game was new, so we didn't have results to go by so much for Exert that much. So we used a lot of legacy Guilty Gear results to seed it, and Bananaken kind of just got forgotten about as someone we should have probably seeded. I think we really should have, looking back at it. And so as a result of that, I ended up having to fight Bananaken first round in pools. He was my first match of the entire tournament. And he was playing Elfelt Valentine, who had just come out with the console version about a month ago. So even though I had all this experience playing in Japan, none of that mattered against Elfelt, because Elfelt was a brand new character, didn't play like anything else like any of the old Guilty Gear characters, and there was not really like high-level practice, people to practice against Elfelt. So I really just didn't know how to approach the matchup in a lot of ways, and he caught me off guard. It's not that I was underestimating him necessarily, but like he really caught me off guard, and I ended up losing my first match of the entire tournament to Bananaken in pools. And I was just like, wow, I can't believe that just happened. And I remember I was like taking a smoke break outside, and some people were out there talking with me like, man, Bozak, like what are you gonna do? Are you still gonna take this thing? Because they all expected me to win. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get it. Don't worry, I got this. I felt like I could turn it around. Tournament progresses. I don't remember my run up to top 8 super well. I had to play a lot of matches because, as you probably know, when you get into the losers bracket, you play like roughly double the amount of matches as someone who just does a straight winner's run. I played the maximum amount of matches I would have had to play in that bracket because I started in losers right at the beginning. And I won pretty much every single match, I think, without dropping a game. Like, I was just dominating everybody else. Like, I used that momentum and my experience to just run through. So there's this thing people say about me when I go into losers bracket. They call me EX Bozak. Bozak's a nickname that I could go into the details later, but it's a nickname that the Chicago guys came up for me with back in the day when I still lived there. And so they call me EX Bozak when I'm in losers because I just turn it on. Like, I get a little salty, but I channel that salty feeling into just like focused energy, like just determination to want to win. And I don't know, it's just something mentally kicks in when I'm in losers. I just play better. Like, I know if like this, it's do or die. Like, and so I was able to channel that
A little bit.
and get all the way back to
This
top.
is exactly what he needed. Ooh, a close S.
Wake up close S. Bananaken doesn't want to block the disco.
Does not want to, and this game is over. Bananaken takes it, he advances. Bananaken is prime and ready to take this tournament.
Who's waiting for me in grand finals? It's Bananaken. Apparently no one else knew how to fight Elfeld either, because he was on a tear. He was just destroying like seasoned vets of Guilty Gear. And there was a lot of really strong players there that had been playing the series forever, and he was just tearing through them all. A guy with really good fundamentals, experience with other anime games, playing a brand new character who, by the way, was really strong upon release, and it showed. But I was determined to win. I wasn't gonna go out like that. So I had to beat him six matches to take the tournament. And in the first set, I just came out swinging, and I was able to reset the bracket 3-0.
And it's a grab! Bozak going nuts right now! He's feeling himself. It's a reset, folks. This is not over.
The things I was losing to is like matchup knowledge stuff. Like I would do like far slash, he would slide under it. I was getting blown up by close slash, such a good anti-air that I didn't realize how busted it was at the time. And obviously shotgun pressure, rifle pressure, grenade pressure, like all that stuff, the setups. I didn't know how, like the tricks to get out of that stuff. So I realized I had to stay on the offense. I had to just keep him locked down. I couldn't let him get started. Once I figured that out, I was just playing really aggressively, and I was able to really turn things around. So after the reset, I pop off. Obviously, I'm really excited. I'm feeling it. You know, family members are in the crowd. My wife's in the front row watching. My brother's there. My cousin's there. Just my friends are all cheering me on. Everyone there wanted me to win, which is not usually the case these days anymore. But you know, I was the hometown guy. I'm a classic Guilty Gear player. Bananaken's the out-of-state guy coming in who wasn't a classic Guilty Gear player. So more people were rooting for me. I used that energy as well. So I remember the second set, I win game 1. Then game 2, he actually starts to come back a bit, and he does manage to tie it up 1-1. But I make the adjustments again pretty quick, and I was just like, yeah, it's fine. And I remember at one point, like I hit him with 6H like a bunch of times, and I kept abusing it. And I was trying to tilt him a little bit and also condition him. I was maybe using it just a little too much, but I wanted to get him like a little bit tilted. And I think just by the time we got to the last game, I felt like just looking at the play and just the vibes in the match, like I think he was kind of defeated already mentally. I think he kind of knew that I was going to win, because I just remember the last match, just things went smoothly and I was just able to take it. And man, I ended up beating him 3-1 the second set, so it took the whole thing 6-1.
Not going to kill him, but it's going to be close. One
This
more.
is it. Get the
Meteor's
meteors
coming
out.
up. There it is. Meteor's going to
It's
come
over! He did it! Bozak has done it! He's
And as soon as I won, I pop off, and everyone just bum rushes me on the stage. People are lifting me up, cheering, like. But I really wanted to win again, and especially the new game, and just being back home. It just meant a lot to me to win that one. And the way it went down, I mean, you couldn't script this to be any crazier, honestly. Like I would have never imagined it would have panned out that way. I don't think anyone did. But just the fact that I was able to turn it around with such a huge loser's run in that kind of way and make such good on-the-fly adaptations with the Elfeld matchup, it's just I'm really proud of that tournament. So that one's always gonna last in my mind as just a great moment for me.
Won his redemption back, answered the question that he's still got it, and then some. Beat the guy who took him out in pools.
And then win 3 more. Yeah, Sim and winners here, and ElvenShadow and losers. So we got grand finals.
Now, Sim has been playing out of his mind.
He's
this
So in Combo Breaker 2015, right? This is just a few months after Frosty, and up until that point, I've entered a lot of other tournaments, a lot of majors, and I was winning pretty much all of them. I was doing very well, so I had a really good streak going on at this point. I just remember that up until top 8, I pretty handily won all my matches. I don't remember who I fought because it was a while ago, but I do remember that it was a pretty stacked tournament. There was a lot of like out-of-state players there, and I remember going out the night after pools were over. Some friends invited me to go, hey, let's go to the bar real quick, because this is the very first Combo Breaker. So this was when it was in Rosemont, and there was like lots of restaurants and bars within walking distance from there. So we just went to some bar. I wasn't planning to get too hammered, But people wanted to buy rounds of shots, and I'm drinking all kinds of whatever people handed to me. And as a result, the next morning, I remember waking up for top 8 with a little bit of a hangover. My head hurt a little bit. You know, I managed to level myself out a bit, but going into it, I wasn't feeling 100%. Sure enough, my first match in top 8 is against Sim. So Sim is a local Chicago player, and you know, I have a history with Sim. Sim didn't actually start playing until a little later. Back when I lived here, he wasn't really around that. I think he started playing right around the time I left, and he actually got trained by Blacksnake. Him and Blacksnake would play all the time, and he learned a lot from Blacksnake, and you know, he's just a really solid player in both XX Series and in Exerd. But every time I'd visit, you know, we would play a lot at house sessions, playing each other all the time, at locals and stuff like that. So he knows my tendencies pretty well. I know his tendencies pretty well. But, you know, it just makes for a harder match when you're fighting someone who knows exactly what to expect from you. You can't hit them with cheap setups as easily, unexpected things. You just like, it's a lot more honest. You have to really work harder to defeat someone who knows exactly what all your tricks are. Faust Milia matchup in any game has always been, I would say, Milia favor. I've always struggled against Milia, but I know Milia very well because Chicago has a history of having so many Milia players, like a lot. That matchup is hard because of her mobility, her speed, her oppressive mix-ups. Faust doesn't have a lot of great reversals against a lot of her pressure, and the neutral is rough. It's hard to keep her out because of how just quickly she can get in on you. So it's a hard matchup, but I know it well enough to where I feel confident in it. Part of it would make it even harder, right? You're fighting Sim. The first match in top 8 ended up being quite close. It did go down to game 3. This is 2 out of 3. I remember first match I lost barely. And then in round 3, I had a big life lead. And then just, he got me in the corner and I just kept not blocking the mix up. And at the very end, I got this like juicy counter hit in the air and I went for the extension and I whiffed. And he killed me.
Whoa! That's gonna combo. No, it does not combo, unfortunately.
ElvenShadow staying alive.
Oh!
And gets grabbed. ElvenShadow putting his head down on the stick. Very nice from Sim.
All right. Sim advances to winners finals.
Sim putting
and I was kind of bummed out because I'm like, man, like I barely lost that. I knew I could do better. I knew I had to get it together. But right there, EX Bozak mode kicked in again. I was really determined to get my run back against him. So the rest of my top 8 run, I had to fight AKA, one of the strongest Milias in the country at the time. I had to fight Nurjosh, who we all know, who was playing Elfelt, by the way. In losers finals, I had to fight Blacksnake. Once again, my probably biggest main training partner throughout the years, knows my tendencies, my habits better than pretty much anyone else. So it's always extra challenging when you're fighting someone who's not only one of the best at the moment, but knows exactly how you play. I should have died in that match against Blacksnake so many times. There was so many rounds where I was on the verge of death. He was on match set, match point at least like 3 times. But I kept coming back. I kept clutching it out. And I turned it around and I barely beat him.
Oh, no, gets tagged.
And he eats
some damage.
that donut at the same time.
Oh man, and one up throw.
And Bozak takes it. Wow, that was such a good set.
Oh my gosh, dude.
One more shot.
I remember though, my mood, I was determined, but we were kind of having fun. You know, he hit me with this nasty setup in the corner one round and we're just kind of laughing it off because, you know, we're friends and all that. But I was still inside, like really feeling that determination to win. And so there was one round where if I lost the round, that would have been the tournament. And I throw a mini Faust out. And suddenly another mini Faust comes out. And I'm just playing neutral and I'm just getting items. And I think at one point there was like 5 mini Fausts. There was an entire army of mini Fausts on the screen.
Mini Fausts! Yo, unlimited soldiers coming in. Oh my gosh. Oh, ElvenShadow
takes it. How many minutes Fausts was that?
I don't even know, dude. It was
I counted 5.
And everyone was going crazy. Like the commentators were just like, what is going on here? What is this RNG? And I couldn't believe it. I was like, I have a whole army on the screen controlling this neutral. And you know, I used that situation to come turn it around and I won that round. I'm not sure if, I might have been able to win the round without that situation, but the very fact that it happened gave me such a mood boost. Like, I just took that luck and I turned it into momentum moving forward. And for the rest of the set, I just felt more energized. I just had this cheesy grin on my face. You could see it in the footage. I'm just laughing and thinking like, man, how am I this lucky to get this RNG? So I just played really well after that. It just gave me this mood boost. I tied it up. I closed out that match, and then I won the next one, and I reset the bracket. After I did that, I felt a lot better. I was still kind of in that channeled mode, DX Bozak mode.
The next touch, it all. Oh man.
It's going to be it. ElvenShadow, your combo breaker, 2015 champion.
You know, the second set went a lot smoother than the first set. So, you know, I eventually did manage to come back and close it out. And by that time, my head was feeling a lot better. I was just really feel like I played well. And being able to overcome that, being put in losers the first match of top 8, and then having to go through the people I did to get back to sim and pull the reset off, that also meant a lot to me, especially because it was combo breaker. It was the very first combo breaker. I really was determined to win that one because I wanted to be a combo breaker champion. It's a Chicago event. It meant a lot to me to win that, especially because combo breaker was the successor to EvoFGC. I pretty much never got to go to EvoFGC because I was living in Japan for so long, and EvoFGC would always take place during a time of the year where I was not able to come back and visit. So I missed out on that whole era of EvoFGC tournaments. So going back and being able to finally play a combo breaker meant a lot to me. And so, and actually, if you look at the footage, I think it's during one of the last rounds of the tournament, they had like this like clicker feed thing with statistics at the bottom. And it says something like ElvenShadow has beaten Sim and all recorded matches, and it's like, that's not true actually. Like, cause they're not accounting for locals. Like, he's beaten me before. Like, it's not like this was like free or anything. It's just like the majors they happen to pull from, I beat him at, but like, me and him have played many times going back and forth. So I knew it was gonna be a challenge. And the same thing with Black Snake. I mean, I've been playing that guy for ages, more so than almost anyone else since like Reload. So, you know, just beating those guys, it's always a challenge. And getting top 3 Chicago at Combo Breaker, I mean, that's pretty amazing. So I was really happy. I was just proud of all of us for getting that far. I chose this match as an important one for me because of what it meant, Combo Breaker specifically. Just such a iconic tournament. It's a part of Chicago history now. Like, just look at what Combo Breaker has grown into now. I mean, I knew it was going to be a big thing. And so just being able to be like the first Chicago, or the first Combo Breaker champion for Guilty Gear, and being someone from Chicago and just having such a direct tie to that whole thing, it just being me made me feel very like happy and proud to like be the one who's able to do that. And so yeah, it's one of the most prestigious tournaments, period. And so the fact that I could say I'm a legit Combo Breaker champion, it means a lot to me. And I also just wanted to keep my momentum going after doing so well in Exerd after it got released after winning Frosty and other events. So defending it against all the out-of-state players and everything, it just meant a lot to me.
It's going to be it. ElvenShadow, your Combo Breaker 2015 champion.
Yes, yeah.
Coming back all the way from losers in the first round of top 8, losing to the person that he faced in grand finals and running it all the way back. Shades of.
All right, so this is grand finals actually.
Yeah,
who's gonna get that 1K?
Basically. I can't believe we're saying that. What a world stream, 2020.
2020, pandemic starts. Everyone's miserable. Locals are dead. And the 2 games that I like to play the most, Exerd and Plus R, don't have very good netcode. Suddenly, Plus R gets announced for PC with rollback netcode, and it was one of the most exciting things I can remember in my entire life as a fighting game player. I was so happy to hear it, and especially because now I actually had something positive to focus on during the pandemic. Instead of being stuck at home, and just feeling miserable, play one of the games I love all the time, whenever I wanted, from my home. When the Plus R rollback beta got announced, we knew that we had to run something for it. We wanted to organize a big tournament for it. It was a nice reason for me to get back into Plus R more because At that point in time, I was mostly focusing on Exert. Since Plus R was not a main game at most events anymore, and we were all just playing the old PS3 version, I was less motivated to really practice. I really didn't practice Plus R at all. Like, I would enter a bracket if I was at an event and they had it, sure. Having rollback in any fighting game is gonna be good for that scene. And it really revived Plus R scene. Before that, it was not doing well. It was not a lot of people playing anymore, especially because most people moved on to Exert and other games. But when you take an old game that people really used to like playing and you make it accessible and you give them good netcode where they can find matches any time of day, whenever they want, and you're gonna see a huge uptick in the amount of people playing that game. You're still gonna see an uptick in offline play as a result of that, because people are more motivated to get out of the house and try and play that game at local events when they have the ability to practice it more often at home. And you're seeing it have a resurgence at majors. A lot of majors have added it back as a main title. And even the ones that don't have it as a main title, the side events for it are huge. You're still really big numbers, bigger than some of the tournaments that it used to have when before it had rollback. The last tournament I had entered for Plus R prior to that, I believe, was Evo 2019, which I actually won. But if I go back to the footage, man, I don't know how I won that, because my muscle memory was like, it was trash. I was dropping everything. I was mostly just winning with like basic fundamentals and zoning. I was like trying to remember how to play. By the time I got to grand finals, like I was playing pretty well. But like leading up to that, I'm looking at the rest of like top 8 footage and I'm like, man, how did I win this thing? Like, so being able to jump back in then and like play it seriously, like it was nice to have that opportunity. We ended up getting about 200 players, which is pretty good for a game that was kind of on life support up until that point. A lot of the OGs came out of the woodwork to come back. Not everybody yet, but a good solid turnout. And then there was a lot of new players who just wanted to try it. So that was really cool. And we managed to, through the Matcherino, raise over $2,000, which is insane. This was all mostly just contributions from people who wanted to just support it. Everyone, you could feel how excited everyone was to have this opportunity with this game have rollback. Everyone was so excited for it. And so you could see that through all these donations and contributions. So I'm really grateful to the community for stepping up and just putting all that money into the scene, into the event.
Press some buttons. I need some buttons right now. Press them all.
So yeah, against Mahouko, I have played against Mahouko a bit throughout the years. I've run into Mahouko at Sea Otaku many times and Frosty many times and things like that. I think prior to that specific tournament, the last time I played Mahouko was Frosty Faustings 11 in Plus R in top 8. I fought Mahouko first match in winners and I lost to Mahouko in that tournament. I never got my run back. Yeah, I think that was the last time I had played Mahouko prior to this tournament. So there was a kind of a sense of getting the run back there. Really in this tournament, for me, it was just, I didn't care who I had to fight. I really wanted to win that one.
Between Bridget and the yo-yo, it's actually like difficult. Super, yes.
I think that's the first time you used that super in the set.
So too. Yeah. And that's going to be a quick 3-0 for ElvenShadow.
I do run into Mahouko in winners finals, and I played quite solid. I took that set 3-0. My general game plan was working well, and I was, I think prior to that tournament, I was really kind of labbing and playing a lot of net play. But Mahouko was also doing really well. Came back, won losers finals, and I had to play him again in grand finals. So I actually won the first 2 games, and I was doing well. But then suddenly he started to really adapt and come back, and he ran it back and got the next 3, and reset the whole bracket. And I was determined to win this one because I really wanted to, show that I still had it in this game. I just made some adjustments. I thought about what am I doing wrong? And really with the Bridget matchup, and then what was happening here is he just kept locking me down with the yo-yo. I was also approaching a little too overly aggressive with some things like force break pogo to try and get in. I think I was trying to play too much of a rushdown approach in some ways. After that, just more solid neutral and trying to avoid getting locked down as much as possible by the yo-yo. Trying to get items out whenever I could and then capitalizing on those good item pulls. Waiting for something really good before I overcommitted. I was okay to run the clock. I was okay to be patient and just try and get most of my damage in with like really long pokes, counter hits, jump H, things like that, scalpel pull. In the end, I was able to make those adjustments, and it really worked out for me.
This could be it right here.
Definitely could be. Dead angle?
Bro.
No, run up throw doesn't want the dead angle.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, because of the fact that this tournament had such a big prize pool, I really wanted to win that money because I invested it right away to buying a new PC. I bought that PC because the one I had was just an old laptop, barely could run even Exert on it. And so I wanted to start streaming, and that's why I started streaming more at the time. Because now that the game had rollback, I bought a brand new PC. I was doing streams, pretty regularly every week. I would stream exhibition matches. I would just stream casual sessions. I would stream all the tournament runs I play in from my perspective. And that was a lot of fun because prior to that, I basically never did it. So it was a good learning experience for me. I don't really stream as much as I used to. I've been a little complacent, mostly because I'm just busy. And my graphics card broke. But I'm gonna probably get back into it at some point. But yeah, I mean, it just meant a lot to me in the sense that I was able to just show that like I was a dominating force in the game and just use that momentum right then and there to go on and win so many more plus R tournaments. And even to this day, I'm still doing pretty good. So, that's the reason why it meant so much to me at the time.
Bring everything within me and just like fight as hard as I can and just focus and like I just go in there like thinking I just want to kill this guy in this game, like whatever it takes, I'm gonna win this shit.
We are at grand finals, Kedako versus ElvenShadow. ElvenShadow is in winners, correct?
Yep.
Correct.
You compare how things
8 wins
were
on Kedako's
with the
side.
XX series back in the day. Right? We talked about Evo 2008 back then. A lot smaller overall, less players. Nowadays, there's just such a huge pool of players and it's a mix, You've got old OGs from back in the day that are still playing, that have been playing as long as I have, since like XX, right? But then you have all these newer, younger players who never played at Plus R back then. Because of all the wide pool of talent out there, players available to play against, to learn matchups and just general experience, the take control feature that you can watch your replays in lab real time and find things out. The ability to get good at that game quickly has really gone up. We used to struggle to find tech on the internet. You would be going through forums or just word of mouth. There wasn't as much footage. Nowadays, it's like you can really get good at that game fast. And it shows because now we have so many players from back then new that just the number overall is crazy. And we're just seeing more tournaments, really good turnout for it at big events. And so Evo specifically, you go back from 2008 when we had 3 CRTs to run the whole thing and it wasn't even streamed and basically no support. And then you go to this tournament in 2023, big community event, huge stage, great production, commentary, and just very well run. And just lots of strong talent came out for this one. So it was like night and day for how much the XX series has changed from the old days till now.
Sorry guys, I forgot.
We want to live in the moment.
We're not. I don't know.
That was 5 minutes ago. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, it's irrelevant. Yeah, no. What is important is now. All right, we are at grand finals. Kedako versus ElvenShadow. ElvenShadow is in winners.
So I have a bit of a history with Kedako. Ever since when I lived in Japan, every time I played Kedako in Accent Core or Plus R, he would just destroy me. He would body me. I always struggled against May in Accent Core and Plus R back in the day. It was one of my hardest matchups, just the way May fights. She jumps around a lot. She doesn't stay still. It's hard to pin her down. And she just throws out these big, heavy buttons with these big boxes that counter hit you and you just eat it. You just lose so much life. And then once she's on you, it's just hard to get her off. So Kedako was always someone who had my number. He also lived in Kansai, so I didn't fight him on a regular basis, but every time I would run into him, he would beat me up. And I remember back in the day, actually, Accent Core did get net play at one point for PlayStation. And so I did play it a little bit back then, sometimes. I think it was Accent Core Plus, which is basically just Accent Core, but they added extra features, not a balance change. It would have been unplayable if it wasn't for the fact that I was in Japan, because Japan's such a small country that you're close enough to the person proximity-wise, and they have pretty good internet connections, that it was okay, right? It wasn't as good as the rollback now, but it was playable. And I remember one time I got on there, I ran to Kedako. We played a long set. He beat me like 15 in a row or some crazy thing. I couldn't get a game on him. And for years and years, that was always the case. Kedako, yeah, has been playing May in every single Guilty Gear. He still plays all 3 of them at a very high level. I know he actually still practices plus R2. Maybe, I don't know which game he primarily focuses on, but I know he really does care about the old games too. And so, I mean, when you fight someone who's a character specialist in all those games, yeah, you have to keep that in mind, but I think the matchup feels slightly different in every game. So I really just focused on the plus R matchup specifically, because the way I might approach the main matchup in the other Guilty Gear games would be different than how I do in plus R. Both characters have different tools, and I feel like the match pans out a little more differently. I feel like it's the hardest actually in plus R for me. And the last time I played him was years before this. At CEO Otaku, I had to fight him in grand finals one year. I lost pretty badly, actually. So, you know, going into it, I wasn't sure I'd be able to take this one. I really wanted to, because I had won the previous year's Evo as well. And so being able to do it again would be great. And I was already this far. I'm in winners, by the way, because Kedako lost a Peppery Splash, I believe, in loser, or to go to losers. And this match starts off with me actually losing the first game, and then I'm about to lose game 2. But I really clutched out and turned things around.
Oh boy, that turned around quickly.
Just making good adjustments, really just taking all the knowledge of all the practice I've gotten over the years with the rollback really paid off. And I feel like I've gotten so much better at the game since even those years prior to rollback, because I was grinding it so heavily, like every day. And I was able to just, use the momentum and turn things around, and it really went down to the wire. In the end, I beat him, and he almost reset the bracket, but I didn't let him. I actually won this one in the winners bracket. It seems like a lot of the tournaments I won, I'm always coming from losers, but this one I was able to close it out without the
Counter
reset.
hit, let's go. Oh, he made First base. Went for the 5D again, but Elvin was ready that time. Into the corner. Oh, to get him to turn around, yeah.
Get a throw him or do a super. Oh no! It's looking bad for Kedako. Looking very bad. Nice command grab for the win. Oh my God! ElvenShadow took it. Nice.
And it meant a lot to me because Kedako had my number for so long. He was like one of my demons, and I finally beat him in tournament in plus R, Accent Core Series, you know, and it meant a lot to me. Given the run I had to go through to get to him, even was pretty impressive. So I was just happy about that to win yet another Evo event for the series. Thank you to Evo for inviting me to get interviewed today. I'm happy to share these matches. It was really hard to pick just 5. I have so many matches in my roughly 20-25 years worth of experience playing Guilty Gear series, but these are just some that stood out to me. Shout out to everyone who's still playing Plus R and Exert specifically, because I love those games, and I'm going to keep running events for them. So I just hope you guys keep showing up to bracket and throw down with me and hit some buttons. So let's keep the momentum going, especially now that both games have a rollback netcode, and let's rock. Yes.